First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for their kind invitation to this beautiful country. And I have to excuse myself, I don't have slides to offer for you, so on top of that, I have a rather philological paper to offer, so my excuses again if this turns out to be a little bit boring for you, because it will be mainly about text and not much or nothing to show. What I would like to share with you is my findings about a Tenrim text that was authored in the 12th century by Gling-ras-pa Pema Dorje, who lived from 1128 to 1188, mainly in central Tibet, while also traveling throughout the whole of Tibet. Gling-ras-pa Pema Dorje, I think, is a very largely unknown figure still within the context of Buddhist transmission. But I believe, especially here in the country of Bhutan, where so many Drukpa followers are here, and Gling-ras-pa himself presents the living link within the spiritual transmission of the Drukpa order, the living link between the student of Gampopa, Pamo Drukpa, and the famous Tsangpa Gyare, the first incarnation of who later incarnated as the Shapung Nawang Namgyal, and as such, he's the key element. But when I was searching for my field or my topic for the doctorate, I actually found out that Gling-ras-pa himself has remained largely unknown, or just known via his biographies that are circulating in historical works such as the Depte Nönpo, the Blue Annals. And so I looked out and had a deeper read into the collected works of Gling-ras-pa Pema Dorje that were compiled in 1984 in Tashijong, Kampagar community, into 2 volumes. And within this compilation, I stumbled upon a text that is a general presentation or an overarching presentation of the whole Buddhist path and stages from the beginning just to the end. And so I would like to, within this talk, I would like to present the chapter on Vajrayana along with the contextualization of the entire work. And to begin with, if we see lineage tankas, such as this beautiful tanka of Nawang Namgyal, then in general, in some parts, we will see a depiction of Gling-ras-pa Pema Dorje. Gling-ras-pa is generally shown as a yogin, as opposite to a monk. So he will, on these pictures, he will wear the white shawl of the repas, as his name says, of the cotton-clad Tummo practitioners. He will wear a meditation belt, and his upper body will be naked. Very, very similar to the adept Milarepa. I believe this is not only since most of these representations are coming from the Drukpa Kagyu lineage, I believe this is not only to show him within the lineage of Milarepa as such, but it also stands for the identity of the Drukpa lineage that very prominently of the Kagyu lineages preserves 2 streams of Kagyu transmission, which is the transmission coming from Gampopa, such is the fused transmission of Kadampa and Mahamudra, the Kachak Zungdra, and also the very intimate transmission, the Nyingyu, that came by Rechungpa. So we have within the Drukpa tradition, we have a joining again of the two most famous disciples of Milarepa, being the transmission of Gampopa and the transmission of Rechungpa coming along together. If we just read the biography of Gling-ras-pa, then we will see that Gling-ras-pa in his early years actually devoted his life to the study of the Nengyu tradition, which he mainly received from the personal and very close students of Rechungpa, being Kyungsangpa Yeshe Lama prominently, but he also took out to seek teachings with Lama Lo and Sumpa-repa. So, of course, the time constraint does not allow to go further into detail about the different discussions about who was his main Lama and so on. Leave it like this. But so he started out as a yogin, and only later in his life he found. Am I too silent? Sorry. Only later in his life he found his important guru in Pamodrupa Dorji Gyalpo, the personal disciple of Gampopa and Gampopa's lineage holder. His life is generally shown in very short manner. There are no very extensive biographies of Gling-ras-pa, but there are a few points in the life of Gling-ras-pa that are very interesting, such as his very short period of ordination, whereupon he met back with his earlier partner and lost his ordination. Something which in his biography is then traced back to his former lives, and as such as he was a person who actually in many previous lives had committed the act of slandering monks, and this was a karmic repercussion, his loss of his monastic ordination. But in second also, he was said to be a person of instant realization. So under the guidance of Pamodrupa, he committed to 7 years, 7 months, 7 days of retreat. But this retreat he broke after very few days, proclaiming that actually he reached complete realization. And in his biography, it's justified that he was a person who actually didn't need to go the progressive path. Another story, mythical story, says he had a vision of a blue dakini who placed a seed syllable upon his tongue, and from this seed syllable all the Buddha Dharma would radiate throughout his being, and he would understand the complete Dharma. This is in the biographies, and we can only leave it like that. One other thing that we find in the biography, just a little note, it says, Lochik Kadamshuk. So for 1 year he stayed with the Kadampa. And in only one other version we find Loga. Some years he stayed with the Kadampas. Well, what I have here is, what I'm presenting here now is a work on the paths and stages, which means a work of Gling-ras-pa that encompasses the entire Buddhist path, and which is called Chipa-dupa-droma. So it's called the Chipa-dupa-droma means the collection of essential points. And then it says Lapa Chavachu Tamche Dordupa. So all dharmas that are to be practiced are condensed. And this work shows actually a huge or a very overarching scholarship from the side of Gling-ras-pa. And it doesn't flow along so well with his biographical details, where he's just shown as a mere practitioner or as a practitioner who just practices. I believe he studied a lot in order to be able to compose such a work. So I found this work while reading through his collected works, his Sungbum. And first, I had a very difficult read with this work because there's lots of corrupted orthography and some lines are missing. So when I was starting out my work, I had quite a lot of trouble with it. And this was helped like 7-8 months later when I traveled to Kathmandu to meet Khenpo Shedrup from Bhutan, who maybe some of you know, who is having a library project down there. And he provided me with photographies of this text that were brought by his brother Chine Namgyal, who traveled himself to Dzigar Monastery in eastern Tibet, and provided me with an accurate written version in Kamyik, in handwriting. So this work as such is, I see I'm already running out of time. Work as such is...
You're just at 5 left.
Oh Lord. It's divided into 17 chapters, and I will go through very quickly. Faith and relying upon the teachers, vows of individual liberation and relying upon the refuge, taking up the bodhisattva vows, training of the bodhisattvas, a condensed presentation of the artha, the reality, training the mind, gathering the accumulations, path of accumulation, path of vision, path of the Shravakas, the Pratyekya Buddha, the teaching of the Mahayana, path of cultivation, the supremacy of Mantrayana, Mahamudra, the final fruit, and to reveal all occurrences as the mind of awakening. So I will skip most of the details I have worked out upon why this is a path, text of the path and stages, but I would just make a very short remark. This whole text is gathered or is divided in itself by being a presentation of the 5 paths of the Panchamarga and the Lamna, and as such, it contains Vajrayana, so the Sangnak Dorje Tekpa, and the Mahamudra, which is very unusual because neither Gampopa's Dakpo Targen, the very famous jewel ornament of liberation that most of the Kagyupas study, nor Atisha's Changshu Lamgi Dharma has the same. Atisha's Bodhipata Pardipa, Changshu Lamgi Dharma, has a section on the Tantra, but it's only introductory, and it's very short. And it warns people to practice Vajrayana, which Gling-ras-pa doesn't do. And the other text of Gampopa has very structural resemblance, but doesn't represent the Vajrayana, nor very explicitly the Mahamudra. Because it is so close to the, it is rather close, I have to say, to Gampopa's work. I think in these early days of the formation of the Kagyu lineages, there has been some similarity in teachings, in teaching style being absorbed in the two texts. Now, I will give you a few points that are mentioned within the presentation of Vajrayana, within the chapter of Vajrayana given by Gling-ras-pa. The chapter already says that the title of the chapter is on the supremacy of Mantrayana over Paramita yana. So it here explicitly compares the yana, the path of the secret mantra, Sangnak Dorje Tepa, with the regular Mahayana path based on the 6 perfections, the Paramita. This begins with an explanation of the peculiarities of cause and fruit regarding the vehicles of the mantra and the perceptions. According to Gling-ras-pa, vehicles do not differ as far as the reality that is to be realized. So the absolute, or the true reality that is realized by the practitioner going either the Mahayana, general Mahayana, or the Vajrayana path is exactly the same. But the
1 minute, doctor, please.
Sorry?
About 1 minute.
Oh. Just got started. The means are very different. Adverse obstacles are able to be included, and the path is much quicker. So I sum this up really quickly, and I think one of the most profound or most significant parts in this presentation, which actually lines mainly a presentation, an opposition between the Gui Tekpa and so the causal vehicle, and we call it the Hetu yana, and the Drebu Tekpa, the resultant vehicle, Palayana, being the Vajrayana, so that due to empowerment, due to receiving the 4 consecrations or empowerments, the practitioner on the path of Vajrayana is actually having Buddhahood right in his lap from the beginning of the Vajrayana, whereas in the causal vehicle, the practitioner slowly approaches Buddhahood. And one thing I would definitely like to include still, before my time is completely run off, is a comparison given by Naropa, which is cited in this text. I have not found the original scripture that it's from. If anybody of the scholars here knows it, please let me know, then I could fill this in. But it compares the 4 securities according to the Paramita yana, and the 4 insecurities to a practitioner of the mantra yana. So in the Paramita yana, the person desires Buddhahood. And in the Vajrayana, a person desires the 4 insecurities. Paramita yana says the safe place is Bodhgaya. In the Vajrayana, the place of practice here apparently is an earthen cave or a deserted valley. The safe family for the Paramita yana is the castes of kings and Brahmins, whereas the family of the Vajrayana practitioner is represented by the girl of a low caste. The safe time means the time span needed for realizing is 3 innumerable eons, whereas in the Vajrayana it is the present time or the present moment. And the action or the conduct for the Paramita yana is to go into homelessness, whereas the path of action for the mantra yana is to have possessed the Chuchoki Chipa of a madman, so the yogic conduct of a madman. I think I already have to wrap this up. And
Yeah, please try to move to a summary.
okay, my summary is that Gling-ras-pa here presents very explicitly not the 4 Tantra classes, but he straight goes into the 4th Tantra class, presents straightly the Niruttara Yoga Tantra, also known as the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, so the highest Yoga Tantra. And he doesn't warn practitioners explicitly, like Atisha does before taking the consecration, but he even strengthens the need for receiving tantric empowerment. So I think everything else would be rambling. Thank you very much.